Hey everyone, this is Nathan Williams with BlackGreen79.com, and I'm back here with another hand history review for you guys. Today's hand was sent to me by George, and he has Ace-10 offsuit, as you guys can see there. And this hand was played at 1 cent, 2 cent, 6 max on PokerStars. So George comes in for a 3x raise from under the gun, and I'll just say right off the bat, for me this is a fold in 6 max. I think it's a little bit maybe if it was suited, I don't mind coming in for a raise here, but I think Ace-10 offsuit for me, just under the gun in a 6 max game, I think you should be folding this hand. I think it's just a little bit too loose. I don't think it's necessary to be playing this hand, especially a lot of you guys who are beginners. I know I have a lot of beginners watching my videos. I would highly suggest that you fold this hand pre-flop instead of playing it if you currently are. You need to be always be aware of your position in poker. It is so extremely important. As I talk about in my first book, Crushing the Micro Stakes, the two pillars of success in poker are the power of initiative and the power of position. The initiative is all about having the betting lead going to the flop, and power of position is just what it sounds like. It's having position after the flop. It is a mathematically proven stat that you win way more money in poker when you get to act last. So the reason why we do not want to be opening up a hand like this, like Ace-10 offsuit, from the first seat, also called under the gun or early position, is because there is a very high probability that if somebody calls us, we're going to be acting first after the flop, which again is a large disadvantage. So I don't mind raising this hand. I certainly would raise this hand if it was folded to me on the button, for instance. But from this specific position at the table, I prefer a fold pre-flop. Anyways, let's just move on with the hand here and see what happens. So folds to villain 3 on the button. Now, normally I have some stats to run you guys through when I do these hand history reviews, but George actually didn't give me any stats. In this situation, he just sent me a bunch of hands, so I'm just going to review this as essentially we're up against an unknown player. The stacks are around 100 big blinds, and what do the blinds do actually? Both blinds fold, so let's just go to a flop. Again, unknown player type, villain 3. So, alright, so pretty good flop. Obviously, we flop top and bottom. A little bit of a wet flop there, obviously the 2 clubs as well. So I think the standard play here should be to just bet out. However, George disagrees, and he goes for the tricky check here. Guys, another thing that I talk about all the time in my books, blog posts, these videos, I do not like getting tricky at these stakes. I think that in a situation like this, the best play by far is just to bet out. I think in a situation like this, we don't want to be going for some sort of crazy check raise here, because we're just kind of trapping ourselves almost, because in a situation like that, we need to realize we don't have the nuts here, guys. We have a good hand, but we don't have the nuts. If we go for some crazy check raise, get all the money in here, chances are, unless we're up against total clueless fish, we're going to be behind. So this is not one of those hands. This is a hand that is deceptively strong. It's not the nuts, guys. There is a lot of hands on this board that beat us. There's also a lot of hands that have a ton of equity against us. For instance, a 9-8 of clubs. I think a 9-8 of clubs would be close to a coin flip against our hand here. There's also a made straight. There's a higher 2 pair. There's a lot of different stuff going on here. There's possibly some sets as well. So I definitely just prefer to bet out here, make the standard play. I also don't like allowing a hand like, I don't know, Queen 8 to just get catch a free king or something on the turn, and that's what we're essentially doing here by checking and just allowing him to check behind. So I also don't like another club rolling off on the turn and completely killing our action. So for all of these reasons, guys, I definitely prefer just betting out here. Do not get tricky, guys, at the lower stakes. I talk about this a million times. I call it FPS, fancy play syndrome. It is death to your win rate at these stakes, guys. You just got to make the standard play. So villain 3 actually does go ahead and bet. And George decides to go for the check raise here. I guess that's the whole point when you check the flop here. I don't really know what else we can be doing. But again, I just think it's kind of overplaying in this situation, guys. I would, like, if you want to go for a fancy check raise here, I'd rather have the king queen or even the ace jack, something that is a little bit more, slanted towards the nuts here. I don't think that if we get action here, which we do, as you guys can see, I don't think that's good action, guys. Now we're in this terrible spot where we don't really know what to do. Whereas I think that if we just bet out and make the standard play, when he raises, okay, maybe we can just call and we can see a turn, see what happens. But here now we've put ourselves in a position where we just gotta play for all the money, and we kind of have a good. I mean, we have a good hand, but it's not the nuts though. And I know George is gonna make the call here, and I can't blame him. But I just don't think this is good action, guys. I don't think this is, I think if you want to set up a situation like this, I'd rather have the nuts or a monster draw or a set or something like that. I think we're kind of leveling ourselves here into thinking that we have the nuts because we have top and bottom on this board, but it's just not the nuts. There's a lot of hands that have us beat or have huge equity against us. So anyways, we'll see the hands here because it does go to showdown. Actually, this is one of those double run out boards, or run it twice, I guess. There's an option on PokerStars to do that. I typically don't use this option, but some people do. And as you can see, we're gonna lose both runouts here because Villain 3 did in fact have the nuts on the flop, the real nuts. And top and bottom is not the nuts. He has the real nuts, right? So this is why, I'm gonna say, George, that, well, number one, I don't like the playing this hand pre-flop onto the gun. I think that should be a fold, sorry. But on the flop, I just prefer a more standard line because I think the line that we took of check raise, get all the money in, I think it's one of these situations where we're just begging to lose a monster pot. We're begging for action against all hands that beat us, and we're folding out everything that's worse. And I talk about that all the time. We do not want to be in these lose-lose situations in poker. We want win-win situations in poker. And I think that we have to understand what our hand is on this flop. It's a good hand, but it's not the nuts. It's not one of these let's get tricky and get all the money in, because, again, I think that most of the time when you get all the money in with a hand like this, situation like this, you're mostly just getting action from better hands and you're folding out all worse, which, again, lose-lose. That's not how we want to that's not how we win in poker, right? So prefer just a standard line. And also, for all the things I talked about before, he's not always going to have a nut hand here. There's calling stations everywhere at NL2. Just want to just bet for value and just make the standard play almost all the time, guys, at NL2. The standard play is the right play. All right, don't get tricky, don't get tricky. That's kind of the my message, I hope, for the educational value of this hand. So thank you for sending me this hand, George. I hope that my analysis was helpful for you, and for the rest of you guys, I hope that you enjoyed my comments as well. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. So let me know what you think in the video, in the comments below. What do you think about pre-flop? Do you play this hand from early position in a 6-max game? How do you play this hand on the flop? Would you go for the same check raise that George did in this spot? Or do you agree with more of a standard, just bet out the flop and kind of see how it plays out? And if you guys enjoy watching MicroStakes hand history review and strategy videos like this, make sure you give this video a like and also subscribe to this channel because I'm putting out videos like this very frequently. And lastly, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. It's called Massive Profit at the Micros. It's a roughly 50-page little ebook that is going to give you my complete strategy on how to beat these games. It's totally free. It's the top link in the description below. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.